plan to do today is head down and get fishing for about 1 o'clock. So I've got about an hour's drive. We're still currently in the middle of this sort of cold snap, and it's not much better today. We've got like a 4 degrees high today, and that's already that. Now, according to my phone, this rain's supposed to ease off around about any time now, so fingers crossed by the time I get down where I'm going, that would have stopped. Now, just as a coincidence, I sort of plan on doing this, penciled it in around about a week ago. I like to do these videos about every 2 weeks if I can, sort of plan it in between a week in advance, check for things like tides and what the wind's going to be like, etc. And I've got this one, yeah, it's on my list to do. Started doing all the little bits of research for everything that I need, and just out of coincidence I was checking things like the weather and the tides last night, and I was on YouTube and Dave Harding and G's Fishing popped up. Now they'd just done a session where I'm going today, and that is Lowestoft South Pier. They arrived there yesterday morning, and when they got there they found that the local angling club, the Lowestoft Angling Club, were running a match on the pier, and it's something they do every other Tuesday, I believe. It was a little bit limited for space yesterday, but what they done is they made do, and they fished towards the start of the pier rather than towards the end, if you like. I think there's about 12 or 15 people fishing in this match, and a few other pleasure fishermen as well. But anyway, so they set up on the pier yesterday in what looked like freezing cold conditions. It was very similar today, with like a fog as well, and yeah, even Dave was struggling with his fingers and saying how cold they were. So I've sorted out my thermal gloves, Dave, so I won't be suffering with cold fingers. Thank you very much. Fishing was a little bit of a struggle apparently. The competition was won with, I think, around about a dozen dabs, and then as you came down, obviously slightly less. There was plenty of dabs around yesterday. I don't think there was many whiting, so it's going to be one of them sort of scratchy days today, as you would expect this time of the year. So I've got about an hour's drive, and that should put me in the Lowestoft car park around about 1 PM. High tide today is 3:30, so that'll give me plenty of time. It'll give me, I'll probably fish till about 4:30, 5 o'clock, which is dusk at the latest, I would say. I brought my head torch just in case, but going on yesterday's results, I don't think the fishing's going to be spectacular, so as long as I can give you all the rest of the information, I shall see how it goes. I'll catch up when I get there. Follow this A12 round, and it says the seafront of Kirkley. It should take us right down. Slightly less walk. So round we go. That's the pier over there. This is on to Marine Parade. So this part, this end of the car park, a lot of it there is disabled spaces. So it looks like the side of the road's not an option. It looks fairly full. Go down the bottom and go in by this entrance. There's definitely no spaces there. As I say, I don't really begrudge paying £4. It's a reasonable price. There's the pier out there, quite gloomy. So I'm going to park up as near as I can to that one. There's a little footpath there. Someone else there with fishing rods going past, potentially going on the pier. Okay, squeeze it in here. Okay, so I'm in the car park, and what I've done is pulled up on this front row here. There's a paying machine just here in front there, but I've chose to pay by app because I find it better that way. I can screenshot the ticket and everything, so there's never any question I haven't paid. Toilets are there in that multicoloured building there, I believe, and there's a little pavilion there. I think there's a cafe and everything in there. Obviously loads of facilities around here. Just down at the end of the car park, past the very end there, that wall, is a KFC as well, with a drive-through and everything. So if you're hungry before you start, that's a nice starting place. I believe there is also a bar on there. I don't think that would be a good idea today. As you can see, still very overcast, damp looking conditions, but at least that rain has actually stopped for a bit, so I'm going to get out there and make a start. First job is to get a bit of thermal clothing on, get my thermal gloves and set off. I'll see you out on the end of the pier. Okay, I've made my way to the end of the pier. There's two people fishing, one by the fisherman's sculpture and the other one just a little bit further back. So I've made my way right to the very end, up against the barrier. Obviously that part there is not accessible. That gives you this side access to the main sea, leading over to the beaches there, and you can also fish this side into the harbour entrance. If it's a bit rough out to sea, sometimes you can do okay in here. Boats obviously in and out this harbour entrance quite regularly. There's one there coming out now. So this is the harbour, a little bit more sheltered if it's rough out at sea. So what I need to do now is get some rods set up. Just plop the gear down there like that, and let's get some rods set up, get a bait. First job is to just get a little test cast out. I've got my Tournament Pro today, and it'll be the normal setup for me. I shall start off with a 1 rod and 2 rigs, see how the land lies, and if it's not too busy, then I might put the second rod out. Let's just have a quick test cast of this on the ground. Just a slow pull first of all. Break the line. That's gone for miles. Right. Okay, rigs for today, as I said before, I'm going to start off with this 3-hook flapper, 9-inch snoods, size 2 Arno hooks, with 5-ounce breakaway. I'll start off on 5 ounces, see how we get on. Might need to up it a bit, not quite sure. It doesn't look like there's a lot of tide out there. And the second rig is going to be a standard pulley panel, but this time I've got just a single 2.0 on there, and I've done about an 18-inch link. So that'll be the rigs. Moving on to the baits. Normal sort of selection for this time of the year really for me. All frozen. So got a couple of wraps of blacks there. I've got some squid that I can cut up. Some nice razor clams, and in there's also a couple of odd peelers that are defrosted as well, and I can use them. I can tip some baits and do what I want with that. And as I said before, I have got a couple of herring in there as well, which I could potentially put out a ray bait sometime today on the pulley rig. So that's my mackerel. Been flattened between a piece of cardboard there like that, keeps it nice and leathery, if you like, easier to use. So next stage is to get baited up and get a rod out. Okay, that's the first rig baited up. The top hook, a little bit of black, and a couple of squid tentacles on there. The middle hook and the bottom hook are both blacks, tipped with a tiny little sliver of herring. So let's get them on and get them cast out and see what's going on. I started off with a 5 ounce and we'll put that out. Let's see how well that holds the bottom. Same again, just laying it on the deck. Swing. Okay, it's just after 1 o'clock now, so the first rod's out. The next rig's already baited up on there, and that is a black lug and razor clam cocktail on the 2.0 pulley. So like I say, I did this 15 or 20 minutes. Now I've just looked at the line and it's just pulled a little bit to the right from where I put it in, but it's still holding out there. That shouldn't be a problem. I don't think there's that much tide pull. No indications as yet, but it's very early days. So high tide today is around about 3:30, so I've got 2.5 hours, and then I'll probably fish till 4:30. So 3.5 to 4 hours fishing now. See if we can scratch something out. So as with Lowestoft Pier, these are quite comfortable places to fish once you're out here. If you're bringing something, bring your rod rest, that's fine, which I'm using. A lot of people I see them resting their rods on the concrete. You need to think of something like a blanket or a bit of foam. Some people use a piece of foam to lay on there to protect your rods, and more importantly your line, because you get a nick in your line from the concrete, and that will be that. There's plenty of room on here. As I say, you can fish the other side as well, into the harbour. But majority of people I think do tend to fish this side. In the summer months you get smooth hounds off here, dogfish galore. You even see people launching lobster pots and crab pots down the side of this. What they do is they put them over while they're fishing, and you can sometimes collect crabs for bait, or hermit crabs as well, get in there, and very occasionally people do snare the odd lobster. And so providing you adhere to the minimum size limits, you can take them. It can be over the side while you're fishing, so it's not going to cost you anything extra, just a little bit of offcuts of bait maybe. Right, that's had a good 20 minutes, apart from that tiny little rattle when I was baiting up a pennel rig, nothing. It's virtually out there where I put it, it's just pulled a little bit to the right. But it's pretty bad. Things are very weighty, but potentially could be something off the bottom, or a crab. So I didn't see anything. Weed. Yeah, I've got a blob of weed on the leader knot. Now this can be a problem on these piers, because obviously as the leader knot reaches your tip ring, it stops the rig from coming up. There's a little bit on the rig as well, and then you have a job. Now, I've just managed to pull that through the tip ring. That's not so bad. I think we've got that and clean that. Oh look, starfish. Does that count for a non-blank? Probably not. But he's hooked. There you go. That's a little starfish. Back you go. Oh, there's two. There's another little one there. So they obviously are going after the baits. 2 starfish. Anyone know the size limits for a starfish? Right, change over to the pennel now. Now as that pulled a little bit right, I'm going to smack that a little bit further to the left this time. Compensate. Yep. Yeah, that can potentially be a problem with the leader knot there, especially if you get a big blob and you can't get it through your tip ring. It means your rig's hanging over the side and potentially could snag up in the base of the pier somewhere, so you've got to watch that. Well, I do apologise if the microphone's a little bit, you know, in places. I'm experimenting with it today, and to be honest, this coat's not the best coat to be wearing to do this sort of thing, because the slightest movement of the coat obviously makes that rubbing noise. So reeling in and that could be a problem, but I'm experimenting a bit today with the audio. Had a few problems lately, so I'm going to be tinkering around with the settings all day today, all afternoon, just to see if I can find that sort of optimum setting which is going to work. Right, I'll just whipped up a nice little ray bait, and that is a little piece of fresh herring, or freshly frozen herring, shall I say, on a little 2-0, and I'm going to put that out next on the pennel rig. Once that 3-hook flapper comes in. Time for another bait and rig change. I've got the little herring bait all ready to go. Let's get the flapper in and get that one out. Well, that came straight off the bottom that time, and there's virtually nothing on the lead or not. Maybe going closer in is not a bad thing. Let's get that up. All 3 baits intact. But very much less weed in there inside. So I'll get that quickly changed over. Yeah, it's very deep there. I suppose it's dredged for the for these big boats to come in and round that corner if they need to. But it's certainly got some depth. Okay, in between casts I'm obviously rebaiting the other rig and trying all sorts of different combos. So on this next one to go out, I've got a straight razor on the bottom. On the middle hook I've got a black with a few squid tentacles again. On the top hook it's just a strip of herring, potentially to see if there's any whiting out there. I can't believe that we're going to go any sessions this time of the year without at least a whiting, even if it's undersized. So yeah, I like to keep everything prepared in advance. Got a nice hot cup of coffee on the go now, and what I've started doing lately is, rather than use the little cup that's on top of the flask, I've got one of these insulated mugs that also has a lid on it, and if you put your coffee in there out the flask and put that lid on, it stays warm for absolutely ages. Whereas if you use the standard lid off the top of the flask, within less than 5 minutes it's cold. So that's definitely a good little tip for this time of the year, to keep your drinks hotter for longer. And yeah, this time of the year it is a question of keeping warm, otherwise you're not going to enjoy your session. I think I said that before. You start getting cold, especially, you know, your hands and stuff like that, you're not going to enjoy it as much. You tend to find yourself looking for an excuse to pack up and go home. So I'm toasty warm at the moment, got the right amount of clothing on, having that to use the gloves, but still nice to have a hot drink every now and again to just keep your spirits up. Very little weed that time, but that again was inside, it won't cast out. Oh, there you go, I've just had my first proper bite. And when I say proper bite, it was 3 little taps, but 3-hook flapper rig, so that's the small hooks. Small for me anyway, and that's the first proper indication I've had this afternoon. There it goes again, little taps. Culprit's liable to be a dab, so we'll just let that develop a bit more. Well, there we go. There's the blank saver. It's still on there. Little dab. I'll get him unhooked and put away. I haven't got a bucket with me today because obviously we're on the pier. Unless you've got a drop line to get water, it's quite hard. So quickly flip him off. Nice plump little one. Yeah, that's a blank saver. There he is. A little bit better condition than the ones in Norfolk. Slip him back. broke the duck. Let's see if we can do something a little bit better now. A little bait clip there. I'll pick that up, put it in my rubbish. Right. Well, we've broken the blank. How's that? And if I'm not mistaken, it actually looks to me as if it's got a little bit brighter in the last 20 minutes. It's certainly not as foggy and misty and cold as it was yesterday on Dave's video. So that's a blessing. I'm going to change this one for a plain lead as well. I've just been speaking to the chap who runs DC Baits and Tackle, and he's fishing over the other side, so I sort of picked his brains for a few hints and tips, which you should always do if it's someone who fishes a venue local. It's always worth having a 5-minute chat. And he's fishing sort of all different tactics. He's float fishing, and he's float fishing rubber lures, all things you probably wouldn't naturally think to do this time of year. In the summer it's a different story, but no, very interesting. And obviously if you're coming to fish this pier, you can't get any more local than that, because he's literally almost in sight of this pier. He's a couple of 100 yards away from where I'm parked by the looks of it. So worth bearing in mind. You can contact him on Facebook, and he always stocks plenty of frozen baits, he was saying. It's a little bit harder this time of year to get hold of fresh, but that's sort of the same across the board really. So yeah, if you're coming this way and you've not got nothing arranged, pick out his information on the Facebook page, and I think he's got a website as well. He said, yeah, you can arrange your bait literally where your car's parked. It's not out your way at all. And it's always nice to support the local bait suppliers, especially I do it from where I'm fishing. So I'm on North Norfolk. I've got 2 or 3 people I use, and this way I'll try and always support the local bait diggers and bait suppliers, because if you don't, they'll be gone, and all you'll be left with is the big boys who charge the earth and serve you crap. Just gone 3:30 now. It's glooming over again now, so that little bright spell was very brief. I'm now going to bring in that other 3-hook flapper, and I've got the new one ready to go out. Let's give that a change. Heavy again, potentially starfish again. Weird. I must be paved with them. Where are we? Yeah, big old starfish on the bottom. It's only one this time, but it's the mother. Oh, I don't know. Well, that's a new PB. That's for sure. Quick change. Let's drop this one back out. Well, that is definitely a PB. And the rest of the baits are untouched. I think everyone's been catching them, so it's not just me. There he is. They're all in immaculate nick. Last time I saw a load of starfish, they were all washed up dead on a beach down on the south coast. Right, we're coming up to last knockings now. That's just gone 4 o'clock. It's starting to darken off, and also the temperature's starting to fall pretty rapidly. The pier's now clearing out, most people are now heading off, and yeah, it's not been the best day for fishing, but to be fair, it's a lot better than I actually thought it might be this morning when I was on my way. All that rain and drizzle, it could have been a lot more miserable, but since I've actually been here, it's been pretty good. It's only in the last half an hour the temperature's dropping. That fog is now just starting to creep in again at the end there. Yeah. So lessons I've learned today is that side can be equally as good as this side. In fact, the guy was just telling me that side's been fishing a lot better. So maybe I should have gone with my gut instinct and fished in there this morning, but there you go. I just naturally always take the seaside as being giving you a bit better chance. But I should definitely come back and give that a go. In the summer, the bass fishing and the light line fishing in that side, in the harbour side, can be very good. And that's another thing. And also the LRF. They do a lot of LRF fishing down here, which is really light line with little lures and imitation fake baits down the side of the wall, and they catch numerous species of gobies and all sorts of things like that. Sort of like a species hunt. So that might be something I'll have a look at as well. And all these things can be done with sort of the minimum amount of tackle and the minimum amount of time. You know, a couple of hours here and a couple of hours there. So again, that might be something worth looking at. Huh. There was a little dab on there. A little dab and a little bit of weed. Now that is a little dab. That is micro. That's fish number 2 though. On a day like today, every little helps. We'll just unhook that. Get that other final cast rig out. Just going to literally pop this over the side. I'm not going to go too far with this at all. Thirty, 40 yards from the pier at the most. Let that sink down the bottom. Lock that in there. And let's deal with a little dab. Yeah, these are the size they were getting yesterday apparently, very small. There you go. He's a little bit green. But perfect little specimen. Back you go, matey. Clean this rig up and put it away. The last cast is now out. Right, the seagulls have just had a nice little feed up on the rest of my bait. Herring, squid and razors. So they're happy. We've got some sort of, don't know if it's an inshore lifeboat or something to do with the harbour or whatever. Just come tearing around the corner there. That bite hasn't developed into anything. So it looks like I'm going to probably reel in for the last time now and call it quits. Thank you very much for watching if you've got this far. All being well, in a couple of weeks time we'll get on a beach somewhere, a bit more comfortable, a bit more quiet and a few more fish. That would be nice. Another starfish. How strange. Starfish Central. Oh, he's dropped off. There you go. And that's a wrap.